Beings with keyhole eyes. William K. Allen, and a pro-member ufologist in Canada, investigated a close encounter of the third kind that took place in the suburbs of Rosedale, in the province of Alberta, on June 7, 1971. Miss Esther Clappison, a woman of average age who had a house there with her brother Bill, was attracted on this moonlit night by a light that penetrated through a window of her house from a field. She went outside and moved towards the road, accompanied by her dog George, and there she saw a luminous object of rectangular form posed on the ground. A part of the apparatus seemed to have been open, revealing an interior illuminated by an opaque light of diffuse white color. Miss Clappison recovered from her initial fear when she observed two forms of human appearance that moved inside the object. When her eyes were accustomed to the darkness, she noticed a third being out of the UFO, being in the field. The beings seemed to carry very tight-fitting uniforms, made of a material of a green color similar to the divers' suits. She could not distinguish the facial characteristics of these characters because their heads were covered by the same material as their bodies. She said that the side of the apparatus was occupied over all its width by something resembling a control panel, but one of the men, if they really were men, seemed to have realized that somebody had observed them and hid this panel as much as he could with his back and his stretched arm. He made a gesture at the second, who was inside, slightly leaning in the outside on the right of the entry, as if it wanted to draw the attention of the third, who was on the way, 6 meters from there approximately, obviously collecting samples of rock. The occupants of the apparatus wore a greenish-gray tight-fitting uniform with a broad hood of the same matter. Their faces were also covered by a type of fabric through which they apparently could see. Their eyes were in the shape of keyholes. They carried kinds of pointed mittens, with a long and thin thumb and a very narrow wrist. No curve of the elbow or the knee was visible, and nothing was specified concerning their feet. She wanted to get closer to see better, but her old dog, in a state of panic, drew her back. She went inside the house for a short while to draw the attention of her brother, but when she went outside again, there was nothing anymore, not even a light. The next morning, they inspected the places and found a rectangular mark, slightly burned, exactly at the place where the UFO had been the previous night. The mark was 6 meters long by 2 meters wide, dimensions that matched the estimates of the size of the UFO made by the witness. A more detailed inspection of the trace showed that the vegetation was exposed to a forest fire or to enormous heat radiation. 4 months later, when the Canadian investigator William K. Allen visited the site, the mark of darkened grass was still very visible.